Lincoln Lutheran the top seed, but the 5-seeded Ashland Greenwood Blue Jays, a program that has been here and done that in the state semifinals in Class C1. They played earlier this year. Lincoln Lutheran won by 18 and looking pretty good early on. Great ball movement. Sets up Ryan Hager for the triple. Warriors open the game on a 5-0 run. Part of that early run, Jacob Dutzman with this bucket becoming Lincoln Lutheran's all-time career scoring leader. He'd already set the single-season mark this year. Back and forth we went in the first quarter. Barrett Cottrell, the sophomore, with 8 first-quarter points, and Ashland Greenwood with a 17-10 lead. Second quarter, the top seed in transition. It's Grant Stowell who had a double-double in this one, finishing through contact there at 12 points and 10 rebounds. But Ashland Greenwood able to get Derek Tonjes going early and often, the junior. A star-making performance in Lincoln today. Off the turnover, Cal Kissinger, one of 3 steals for the junior as he finishes in transition. And Ashland Greenwood extending their lead. They lead 28-24 at the half. Second half, more from Ashland Greenwood, more from Tonjes. He was unstoppable at times in this game, finishing with 22 points and 11 rebounds. Lincoln Lutheran not done. This transition play by Nathan Holly would bring them back within 2 as they hang around with the upset-minded 5 seed. But the Blue Jays found play after play. Cooper Westerhold, who did not miss a shot from the field today, gets the and one to go there. He had 14 points on the morning. We head to the fourth. Lincoln Lutheran trailing by 7, and it's Derek Tonjes. Double team, doesn't matter. Fades away, fills it up from mid-range on the baseline. Tonjes was our player of the game. Lincoln Lutheran trying to find plays late. It's Dutzman, the step-back triple. He finished with 13, but just 6 of 16 shooting. That was his only make from beyond the arc. Ashland Greenwood brilliant defensively on the senior. And then they made plays down the stretch. Westerhold from the left side, sending the fans into a frenzy. Lincoln Lutheran down 8. Last chance coming. Holly would hit the NBA range triple that would bring them within 5. They would get no closer. Ashland Greenwood pulls off the upset. The top seed has fallen. Ashland Greenwood, for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, is playing for a state title. They win it 54-47.
Elgin Public, Pope John, and Wynot meeting in the Class D2 state quarterfinals, and it was a doozy. Steinhaus spinning, getting the basket to fall for the Blue Devils. Then EPPJ gets the triple from Koloff. He was hot in the first half, but Wynot got their own 3-pointer as well. Spinning that one in were the Blue Devils with Oleg Mueller. Then the steal, and Cook getting to the basket, laying it in for 2. EPPJ keeping this at arm's length or within striking distance as Koloff fires up another 3-pointer in the second quarter. EPPJ gets the putback off the offensive rebound from Erickson, who had himself a night, 27 points and 13 boards. Then another putback for the Wolfpack. This time it was Selting putting it back in for 2. And Wynot answering. They get the baseline jumper from Hymas. Blue Devils forcing the steal and getting the basket with Brummer this time around. Then Brummer gets a 3-pointer from deep to spur the Blue Devils further on. We go to the fourth quarter, and the 3-pointer from Steinhaus this time around. Wolfpack trying to answer. It's their big man, Erickson, hitting that 3-pointer from the corner. Then yet another triple from Erickson as he weaves through the traffic flying by him. Free throws were a little bit of a struggle down the stretch for the Blue Devils, but off the rebound, Hymas forces the steal and helps ice the game for the Blue Devils. Wynot heading to the semifinals for the third straight season with the win over EPPJ.
Two teams trying to advance to the state championship game for the first time in their collective school's history. Concordia, the 3 seed, taking on 7-seeded Doniphan-Trumbull after their upset of Ogallala in the quarterfinals. And Doniphan-Trumbull hitting shots early. This 3 by Tregan Barnes as the Cardinals have the lead early. These teams traded buckets early on. Concordia able to get one of their own. One of their 2 seniors in the starting lineup, Jackson Shepard, who drains one from downtown. Shepard answering Doniphan-Trumbull's 3 with one of his own. But again, this was about shot making early on. Jack Poppy drills from deep, although Concordia did a nice job on him defensively today. He did have some momentum going in the first quarter as Doniphan-Trumbull had the lead. The steal here by Parker Volk. He gets it to roll home in transition. The Cardinals with a 17-13 lead after 1. But this game became Concordia's pace in the second quarter. The dish left side for Abendroth. Drills from deep. He had 9 points on the game. That was his lone 3-pointer. Doniphan-Trumbull trying to answer, hanging around. That's a tough shot there by Tyson Bennett. He was the leading scorer for Doniphan-Trumbull today with 17 points. Played really well. But at the half, Concordia has the 28-24 lead. They would extend their lead third quarter. Great movement away from the ball from Drew Koulis, who gets the feed there. Koulis did not shoot well. Doniphan-Trumbull was good on him defensively, but he found ways elsewhere to make a difference. This corner 3 made a difference. Barnes finished with 6 points on the game. Doniphan-Trumbull within 3 as we head to the fourth quarter, and they were making plays late. Great pass from the high post to Jack Poppy. 2 of his 12 points off the feed from Volk. Doniphan-Trumbull hanging around, but Concordia made plays late. Drew Koulis somehow muscles that shot up and down. Concordia pulls away late. They get the win, 54-45, and in their 4th semifinal in the last 5 years, finally get the win. They'll play Ashland Greenwood for the state championship on Saturday.
Mainstay in Class A trying to make it to the finals for its 6th year in a row. Papillion La Vista South, though, the top seed. They have defeated Millard North twice already this season, entering the contest. You start things off in that first quarter. Millard North with the 4-point advantage, and you have a great take to the rack by Amari Rahman, who finished with 11 points on the night. Millard North jumping out, actually went on a 7-0 run to start the game before Papillion La Vista South got going, and a big reason why they got going, Bryson Ball. He had 9 points in the first quarter. 14-9 at this point. Good ball movement by the Titans, getting it in the hands of another trusted senior for Papillion La Vista South. That is Reese Kircher, knocking down the 3. He finished with 11. It was 17-16. Millard North leading after the first quarter. So neck and neck as we enter the second. And the Mustangs working it inside to the big man, Deacon Courtney. He had a team-high 16 points. Count the basket and the foul. He was a force to be reckoned with inside, but Papillion La Vista South takes a 3-point lead. This would cut it to 1. Great take again by Rahman. It would be 34-25 Papillion La Vista South, who had a great second quarter. So they have a 9-point advantage. Heading into the third quarter, there's a good take by Grant Beckenhauer, who had 4 points, but you see the 11-point advantage early in the third. That would change quickly. Millard North caught fire. 3-pointer knocked down by Corian Gallatin. Gallatin knocked down 3 triples. He had 11 points. Then you have Major Mosser, who had 7 on the day. He hits one from deep. Millard North would end up outscoring Papillion La Vista South 17-8 in the third. So it's a 1-point affair heading to the fourth quarter. Now we're tied 42-42, and Bryson Ball, he got going again, which was a welcoming sign for the Titans. He had a great fourth quarter, in fact. 11 points in the fourth, but also who had a great quarter was Deacon Courtney. He had 8 points in the fourth, and we were going back and forth in this one. Both teams refusing to give up. It's 51-50. Bryson Baldo from the corner knocks down the three. He had 33 points in this game, trying to will the Titans to the program's first ever state title. Here's another one, and he may have just done that. A second three late in the game would help propel the Titans to the victory. Despite this late three hit by Gallatin, the Mustangs were unable to mount the full comeback, and it would be a victory for Papillion-La Vista South, 61-57. Your final, as Papillion-La Vista South punches its ticket to the championship for the first time in program history, and Ball with 33 points leading the way as a senior. Class A semifinal number 2 at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Lincoln Southeast taking on Omaha Westside. The Knights trying to be the first team since 2003 from Lincoln in Class A to make it to the finals. That was the last time they made it to the finals, back in 2003. Westside trying to make it back to the championship for the first side since 2014. Westside started off great, a 7-0 run. That first one going inside to Tyson Udvity with the basket. And then how about Emery Geddick, the up and under. Westside coming out of the gates firing, actually an 8-0 run before the Knights get on the board. Chewy Thote does just that for Lincoln Southeast with the basket there. Westside leading 10-3, and then you have another follow-up. This time, Mr. Southeast Mikey Ngoy getting the bucket. It's 12-7, Westside after one. Then a couple of threes falling. Rowan Lambert, the triple from downtown for the Knights. That was one of 2 threes he had in the second quarter alone. Well, who else can shoot threes? Trell Snoddy for Westside. He had 2 threes in the third quarter. Snoddy finished with a team high 12 points. 14 points, excuse me. There is Snoddy again taking it to the rack, as Westside would take a lead into halftime. Maybe 29-22, as you see us nearing halftime here, but not before a three was knocked down by Lambert, his second in the period. Lambert had 12 points for the Knights. That will take us into halftime. That basket knocked down by Snoddy, his second triple in the quarter. 29-22, Westside leading. It was looking like the Warriors were perhaps going to run away with it, but the Knights, they start to battle back. Lambert knocking down that one again, 2 of his 13 in the game. Lincoln Southeast would eliminate the 7-point deficit at halftime and cut it to 38-38 as we head to the fourth. Snoddy striking again from deep. He had one heck of a game. Again, those 14 points, and he was a perfect 3 for 3 from downtown. How about this? Lee Robinson, the freshman, he got injured in the second quarter. Didn't play for a majority of the second quarter or any of the third, but comes back in the fourth. Tells coach, I'm good to play through the injury, and he had that layup there to help the Westside Warriors get up by 8. There was a bucket knocked down by the Knights. And then here is Robinson again, back from injury. Shot clock winding down. 2 of his 4 points in the fourth quarter. Robinson finishes with 11 points, 5 assists, and Westside holds on to get the victory 56-52, and they are heading to the state championship for the first time since 2014, looking for the program's second ever state title. Class B semifinal number 1 at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Top-seeded Norris taking on the number 4 seed SKUTT Skyhawks. This is a rematch of last year's Class B state final. These teams met earlier this season as well. SKUTT came out on top 63-51. Getting things started early. Born Schlegel from 3. That's Josh. He had several triples in this one, coming off the bench and providing instant offense. It's a 1-point game early. Check out this pass from Evan Greenfield to Born Schlegel. Threads the needle on a dime and one for Born Schlegel. Norris up early, would have a 14-8 lead after the first quarter. Titans on top. Now Greenfield kicking it back around to Fulkerts, and we have a 3 on the way and knocked down by Jarrett Behrens. Hits the triple. 17-10. Norris at this point. Greenfield with the pickpocket. Look at the behind-the-back pass to Chris Gardner. He finished the night with 16 points. Titans are rolling. They're up 9 at this point. But SKUTT, they would get going as well before the quarter ended. Kyle Cannon taking it to the rack there. He led SKUTT, or was rather the second leading scorer, I should say, for SKUTT with 13 points in the game. It would be a 23-22 ball game at half. Norris leading by 1. We head to the third. Greenfield kicking it out to Garner, who buries the 3. One of several from downtown that Garner hit in that third quarter. But when you talk about the third quarter, you have to talk about Brock Scholl. This young man, the senior, took over. 10 of his 16 points in the game came in the third quarter. It was a 1-point game, 40-39 SKUTT as we head to the fourth, and it would stay close throughout. Three-pointer on the way and dialed up by Dylan Van Dyke. A big triple to put SKUTT up by 2. These two teams were trading blows throughout. 49-44, so it's looking like SKUTT might pull away late. Just kidding. Bornschlegel, again, his third triple to cut it to 2, and they would scratch and claw all the way back. Greenfield, unbelievable handles there. Puts Van Dyke on skates, gets to the rack to tie things 49-49. SKUTT has the ball last as time is winding down, and the follow-up by the junior, George Zeeble. There was 0.5 seconds left on the clock. Norris had one final chance, unable to convert. Zeeble, 10 points, 17 boards, the game-winning shot. SKUTT returns to the state championship for the third consecutive year. 51-49, your final. Class B, semifinal number 2, the final game of the night. On semifinal Friday at Pinnacle Bank Arena, the Bearcats taking on Elkhorn North in the Wolves' first ever trip to the state tournament. Nate Kelly, you'll hear a lot of him. Long-range jumper, knocking it down in the first. He was one of 7 different Bearcats to score in that first quarter alone. Scottsbluff leading 15-8 at this point. Three-pointer buried by Kellen Murphy, the long-range shooting specialist for the Wolves. It was 19-12 Scottsbluff after the first quarter. Trey Boswell, he hit several three-pointers. He's a three-point shooting specialist like this entire Scottsbluff team, who hit 7 from downtown in the first half alone. You have Scottsbluff leading by 9 at this point. Now in transition, Reynolds showing off his moves, getting to the rack for 2. He finished with 10 points, 1 of 4 Elkhorn North Wolves to finish in double digits on the night. More three-point shooting. How about Caleb Berta coming off the bench with 9 points, all from downtown, as the Bearcats are up big at this point in the contest. It would be 33-25 Scottsbluff after one half of play, and Elkhorn North goes on a run. Murphy with the 3. He had a team-high 15 for the Wolves, and you see it being a three-point game. It was pretty much between a 5-point, a 3-point, a 2-point game for the entirety of the third quarter. Neither team really able to separate themselves as we now are late in the third, and as you see, three-point contest, 41-38. There's Kelly, this time kicking to his buddy Riley Meininger, who had 11. There's 3 of them for the Bearcats. We head to the fourth, 47-42, Scottsbluff lead. Elkhorn North driving inside. Again, that's Reynolds with the pivot foot. 2 more of his 10 points. He had 6 of his 10 in the fourth quarter as the Wolves went on a run. 3-point game. We're now tied after this Will Farrington triple. His only basket of the night came at a very timely moment. 53-53, under 2.5 to play. But Scottsbluff would ultimately be able to hold on. They'll win this thing by 3, 58-55. Elkhorn North had a final 3-point shot to tie. It came up short, and the Bearcats are heading to the championship for the first time since 2017 in pursuit of their 5th state title. They will take on Omaha SKUTT.